Today we are going to recap. The more I die, the more invincible I became. So hold your horses and let's get started. We observe in a bustling market someone saying, "Boss, your bookstall sells melons. Are the melons ripe? Give me the melon. I don't want a bit of skin off them." Trying to tease the butcher. The angry butcher, filled with rage in his eyes, looks at the little brat and says, "Are you looking for trouble?" "Yeah, I am. What are you going to do? Chop me?" The little brat says. We see the angry butcher raising his knife in the air with sternness in his eyes, attacking the main character, saying, "I will cut you into minced meat." We see the main character's smiling face saying, "You are a martial artist. Indeed, Butcher Zen, you killed the whole Chow family today. I will take your life." As the main character does some childish moves trying to attack him, at the end of the day, we see blood splattering in gallons, and the main character, with a smiling face and a heart in his hand, falls down towards the ground. As he falls down, more blood erupts from his nose as his soul vanishes towards heaven. We see a large commotion has started because of this. As the main character is pronounced dead, we see the butcher saying, I didn't hold back. He killed someone. Don't let him escape." The people in the background say, as we see the butcher going on a wooden horse with a knife between his neck as fast as he can. That aside, we see the main character now surrounded by a bluish aura. As the main character, drunk, says, "It hurts?" Making a crying face, we see him standing back on his legs as he says with a smile on his face, "It hurts so much getting chopped alive." The main character searches for his wallet in his old body on the ground, saying, "I died so horrifically. System, please let me level up more." As we observe his system screen popping up, death rate, C skill points awarded, 10 skill points remaining, 27-day revival limit, 4 out of 5 skill increase cost, 5 points, immortality punch skill mastery. Beginner 100%, all rewards increased, aura level C. This is my first level C rating, and I immediately mastered the beginner immortality punch. Wait, this decreases my skill points. So is this the correct way of using the system, exchanging skill points for skill set mastery? 5 points gives me the beginner immortality punch. I wonder what the remaining 20 points can get. Max out immortality punch, he says. The system responded, "The host rating is unqualified. Unlocking failed. The system will distribute points randomly." The main character thinks to himself, "Isn't this basically encouraging me to die more?" As we see this smug look on the main character's face saying, "That's fine. I can test the butcher again. Miss Snow said he is a secret member of the martial arts faction. I can't let him get away. He got to kill me a few more times at least." As we see the hustle and bustle in the market come a bit down in the forest, a destroyed building. As we see the wooden horse outside it, the master says, "I couldn't resist today and killed some kid. He claimed to be seeking revenge for the Chow family, but we erased the Chow family half a year ago. There are also no descendants. How suspicious." We see him writing a letter. Could it be that we really missed someone from the family and he is seeking revenge? Oh, no matter what, all the Chow family is dead now. Luckily, I killed them quickly. As we see the butcher sending this message through a pigeon, he realizes someone is behind him. As he turns his head, he sees the main character, shocked to his core after seeing that he is still alive. The main character responds with the clumsy yet historical lie that he is Chow Mu. "You killed my brother earlier, and I am here to make you pay the price," he says, as we see him lunging towards the butcher with his secret technique. 100% bare-handed blade catcher. We see him pulling his hand forwards as the butcher, seeing him come close to himself, uses his knife to swing around. As we see, the main character's hand was cut in half. Still, the main character says, "Your blade is in my hand now. Scared yet?" "Scared? Bro, do you want to take a look at your hand first?" The butcher responded. We see the main character with tears in his face, saying, "I caught it, didn't I? Kill me if you can. It hurts so bad, but I have remained boastful." He thinks to himself. We see the angry look of the butcher saying, "You are crazy. You and your brave brother both lost it." As we see him thinking, "No movement at all. The blade is stuck. I can't." As we see the main character punching him in the face, blood trickles down his nose. We see him rebound a bit, saying, "You are leeching. You are different from your brother. I can see that you have trained hard for the martial arts. I wasn't focusing, but it won't happen again," the butcher says, as blood trickles down his face, and we see him covered in sweat. 5 minutes later, as the showdown commences, we see him punching the main character as his body rolls down further, sighing in relief. The butcher takes some time off the main character's body on the ground, which is pronounced dead. The key to seek revenge for his brother without fearing death. He is a hero, all right. He is just a bit crazy. As we see the butcher calling it passion over, saying, "Things have changed. If I send the letter just now, it would have misled the master." As we see the bluish aura around the main character, the butcher got attacked by something. As the butcher takes a look at it, we see the main character once again resurrected with fury in his eyes, saying, "You dare kill my brother? Hand over your life." As we see him striking a pose, the butcher, shocked once again, says, "Very well. If you seek death, I will kill you all." As we see the showdown commence in the wooden house, the pigeon is running away as fast as it can. Blood trickles on the floor as the butcher is on his knees. The butcher is out of breath, grunting, saying, "An older one appeared after I killed the younger one. Is there any end to this? How many of them are there?" As we see many bodies of the main character on the floor, the main character got resurrected once again. We see him saying, "I died 4 times. The first time decreased 5 points and I gained beginner's immortality punch. The second time it decreased 2 points and I gained 20% mastery. The remaining 2 points decreased 1 point and increased mastery to 40%. But the death rate decreases. It seems like the higher the mastery, the more points it decreases and fewer points will be distributed. I can't grind on one person too many times. I only get to revive 1 more time. It will be difficult to actually get revenge." He says, "Maybe I'll come back in 7 days." Fitting to himself. As we see him from behind the statue observing the butcher, he says, "No, this is a good chance. He is weak from my 2nd, 3rd, and 4th times. It's the perfect chance to attack." He says as we see him taking long breaths, his image meditating under the waterfall as well as in the snow, saying, "The 4th time we fought, we only used 20% mastery in the immortal punch. We were pretty much even. With the increase, I have a better chance. It's worth a shot," he says as the main character looks at him with deadly eyes. "I will finish the mission soon and find Miss Snow for other skill sets. This kid all look similar, and they are slightly stronger than each other. They punch harder and have higher skills. The previous one is on par with me. I probably couldn't take another one," the butcher says, as we see his image on the ground holding his injured hand with injuries all over his body, covered in blood. "There shouldn't be any more, right?" "Of course there is." As we see the main character standing on the statue, the butcher could take a look at him, spat out blood just by seeing him. We see his devilish smile looking towards the butcher as the butcher is in shock and fear both at the same time. Heavenly justice. We see the main character attacking the butcher with all the power that he has gotten, with evil green and deadly eyes. As he lands a punch, we see him striking a pose as he got on the ground. As the butcher is now classified as dead, we see him getting some bronze coins. Is this the letter he was about to give the martial arts faction? The intel that I got was that the butcher was really involved in the killing of the Chow family. As we see him looting the butcher, saying, "The first time he killed me, I got a rating of C. Could it be that the rating is related to the status of the one who killed me, and that stronger villains will have a higher rating? I have to test that out." The main character grins, saying, "I can't decipher the order. Later, I will give it to Miss Snow to see what I can get out of it." As we see the main character's reflection on the ground in an outer Yang City alleyway, we see him with a veil and a hat coming towards a house, saying, "Miss Snow, I'm back." As the door opens, we see someone coming towards him, removing his veil and soft hands touching him. We see a mesmerizingly beautiful girl saying, "Where were you?" as she embraces the main character. We see her thinking of something as she says, "Wait, your voice is different. You are not Xiao Mu." As she retorts herself away, the main character thinks to himself, asterisk as expected from a blind girl. Her senses are sharp. My aura and strength have both increased, and I have become more of a man. Asterisk we see him saying, Sis, it's just puberty. Everyone goes through it. Is that so? She replies. I don't believe you. How can you prove that you are Xiaomu? The main character thinks to himself for some time, caressing his chin, and says, Is Nining really not your surname? As we're seeing in her memories, the main character in the past month has said this thing whenever he gets home. We see her coming close to the main character, sniffing him as the main character holds her in his arms. We see him blushing, saying that he is really a very lucky guy. As the girl is done sniffing him, she pulls away and says, It's really you. You still smell the same. As we see her sitting at a table, folding her legs, she says to the main character, After the family's death, my eyes started to move. A sign that the divine sight is about to activate. Nothing can hide from it. Don't you try to trick me. She says, Don't mess with me. Divine sight, lol. The main character thinks to himself, yes. You are the last one remaining from the family, the legendary martial arts spread. You are so talented. Sis, when are you teaching me the next chapter of the Immortal Punch? Don't set your hopes too high too soon. If you want to be truly skilled, you first need more aura and strength. This will take a few years at least. We see the main character posing in a bodybuilding pose, saying, I want to seek revenge. Don't we agree? Initially, you'll teach me the Immortal Punch and I will avenge the Xiao family. I feel like I have become plenty strong already. As we see her sipping tea, she says, How stubborn. Then, she pulls him towards her, holding his hand, saying, Show me what you've got. As we see her holding his hands, we observe her gently touching the main character's arm. She's in shock. It's hard. In a stupor, we see her freaking out, embarrassed and blushing, saying, What did you let me touch? What was that I have touched? We see the main character didn't understand much as he says to her, My bicep, what did you think it was? We see the blushing girl say, I only knew each other for a month, and you have already grown so much. Are you a martial arts prodigy? She says, How incredible. As we see her caressing the main character's arm, she says, Strength is a fundamental skill with no shortcuts. But he cuts her off, saying with a sly smile on his face, Since you think I have done a good job too, might as well teach me now, implying that she should teach him the Immortal Punch technique. The Immortal Punch is a special skill of the Yang family. Once I have fully mastered the skill, I will reach a stage such that I will age but remain strong, truly the way of becoming divine. I'll finish it as soon as possible. This will be my divine path. As we see a funny-looking character that looks more like a pig breaking through an ice barrier, he says, Here comes the divine. You have done well, but it's only been a month. Although Butcher Zen did not master his punch, his arms have a few 100K worth of power. Once your training is complete in the future, and you have slain the butcher, I will teach you the rest. As we see her drinking tea, the main character, with saliva down his face, says, You don't need to wait until the future. I have finished. I have slain the butcher already. We see her face in a stupor, surprised, and a mix of emotions. I shall most build her tea, she says. Impossible. The main character says, Not only did I kill him, but I found his secret letter as well, but I can't understand the tadpole script written on the letter, as he hands the blind girl a letter. What is the main character even thinking about? We see her telling him, A tadpole script letter? Tadpole script is a secret way of communication for the martial arts faction. It seems like you have really killed him. As she thinks to herself, I can't believe he really beat the butcher. Since you have killed him, I will keep my word and teach you the remaining section of the Immortality Punch. Sit and meditate in front of me and listen as I teach you. That which is form is false, and that which is without form is true. Everything is void. Little is true. We see her teaching as we observe the outside of the house. Half an hour later, we see that the Immortal Punch skill has advanced and is now 40% to its limit. The main character, in a meditation position, looks towards it and thinks to himself, there is no change to the mastery. The system is so much more effective than mastering it myself. I have to find enemies stronger than the butcher and challenge them. He thinks to himself as we see the blind woman sitting on the chair. This is the key to decoding the tadpole script. She hands it over to the main character, saying, "Look through it and read out to me what the letter says." We see the main character taking it in his hand and trying to decode it, thinking to himself, asterisk she can't see, but she could find the key with no problem. Maybe she's faking it. Asterisk we see the main character trying to match the letters, saying to her, "It seems like the letter is implying that the Crimson Emperor is leaving the capital recently and the martial arts faction is planning on summoning all its members." We see the main character reading something with surprise in his eyes, saying, "It's an assassination." We see the girl getting up from her seat with a jolt, saying, "Where is the faction planning on assassinating the Emperor? How about the Emperor's whereabouts? Are there any more details?" The main character just shakes his head, saying, "No," she says, "the key is lacking quite a bit of information. I can only decipher parts of it. I can't make out the exact time or place." The main character says, as we see her posture leaning towards him, that she grits her teeth and clenches her fists, saying, "How dare the martial arts faction? But it's quite like them to actually try and do it." The main character says, "The faction is this strong?" He's surprised by that. We see her saying, "I only told you that the faction and the legendary martial arts killed the whole family, but I didn't explain why." The legendary martial arts, also known as the second strongest supreme martial arts master, founded the martial arts faction and single-handedly destroyed many other factions and gangs. He took the secret arts of all the factions for himself and allowed members to read freely to increase their own skills. The Shao family's immortality punch was bestowed by the divine to the first generation. She says, "It's also met its fate," as we see the scene of how everyone in the family was killed behind her. "I taught you the immortality punch not to expect you to defeat the legendary martial artist," she says, gritting her fists. "I just hope that one day, when your arts mature, you can cut him down." As we see him looking towards her hand, we see her trembling and angry face, saying, "So I can kill that damn artist with my own hands." The main character is speechless, looking towards her mesmerizingly cynical face that is filled not with anger, but with pain, subsiding her emotions. The main character says with a grin, "I have an idea. Maybe I can somehow join the faction." We see her surprise, with sweat trickling down her forehead, saying, "Do you have lost your mind while training? You want to join the faction?" The main character just moves his fingers with a nonchalant face. We see her slamming her fist onto the table as we see the main character getting up, saying, "I will join the faction and then assassinate the Crimson Emperor for the faction, turning the Imperial Court and the faction against each other. If I can't join the faction, then I will keep defeating people from the faction and try discovering the whole assassination plan. At that time, maybe I can act as the assassin, enraging and engaging the Imperial Court, which will let you get your revenge." We see her angry towards him, saying, "You are out of your mind with a plan like this. You are definitely going to die." Well, the main character, with a nonchalant expression, says, "Yes, this is for a chance to be the Emperor's assassin. If I die as an assassin, people will most likely remember me. The death rate will definitely be high," he thinks to himself. Also, the faction founded by the second strongest martial artist has many books of secrets. Its members can read all of them, including the entirety of the Immortal Punch. He thinks to himself, "Isn't that my dream place to level up?" As we see his grin, he smiles, saying, "Perfect." We observe him saying to the blind girl, "Since the martial artist is as strong as you said, getting revenge is almost impossible. I probably caused them a bit of trouble at best. Therefore, this is the blessed plan." We see her surprising and worrying face, filled with tension, saying, "But you will die." The main character, with a stern look and some Gojo filter on him with the slide in his eyes, says, "That's what to fear." We see her eyes saddened by the thought as she says to herself, "There is no smell of deceit, but more like excitement." He is serious about it, but why is he doing that? The Immortal Punch means nothing compared to his life. What else can I give him? Could it be, she thinks to herself, that the main character is going to make her his partner in bed? As she blushes at this thought, saying, "Does he want my body?" We see her embarrassing face. She's trying to cover her face while the main character is confused about what she is thinking. Again, with an embarrassing face, she says, "I just think that I owe you a great debt of gratitude. Is there something I can do for you?" We see her thinking to herself, A warrior like him? How could I think of such things? I really shouldn't have. As the main character with a kid's face thinks, the main character, a bit away from her, says, "Well, there is something that only you can do." We see her bracing herself for the worst to come, saying, "What is that?" The main character, posing again and pointing towards her, says, "Hee, it's a secret." We see her confused look and the main character just smiling like a baby. We see her sigh to herself, saying, "Okay." The main character says, "That's enough." As we see her taking a stick to walk, he asks her, "Do you know any other members of the martial arts faction that are around here?" She replies, "The Lord of the Yuan City." As we see the evil face of a man looking stern and deadly, ready to rip apart the main character, we realize that the main character will most probably be happy about it. We see someone getting lashed from behind as a few more men also got lashed out of the road. We see it's the young master of the Gua family, and his servants are lashing people out of the way. We see the butt-kissing retainer of the young master saying, "The young master is passing by," as they all scramble. As the man takes a look towards somewhere, we see him pointing towards a couple and saying, "Bring that beauty over here to me." We see both of them taking a defensive stance as the man behind says, "How dare you, you shameless brat. I'd rather die than follow your orders." As he draws their sword, we see that his hands are roughly grabbed by some naked, bulky men. As they turn around, we see them saying, "The young master is summoning you." We see the girl pointing towards the man, saying, "The beauty he is referring to is." We see the man getting embarrassed, saying, "How shameless." As a scuffle starts, we see his wife saying, "Let me help you. Today we'll teach these lunatics a lesson." We see someone grinding their teeth. We see the young master with a grunt look and a disgusted face saying, "Put this woman in her place." As we see all of his bodyguards with full force attack towards the woman, they strike some gym poses. We observe that the woman is suffocated between the bodies under the arms of the bulky men as she says, "What kind of weird move is this?" The guy just laughs at her situation as we observe the main character right above him with his glowing white eyes. We see something has happened, and a small explosion occurs where the young master was standing, with a dust cloud rising towards the sky. Everyone's attention is shifted towards there. We see the main character with a brick in one hand and holding the man who is strangling him, lifting him off the ground. As we hear the commotion, the young master has been abducted. We see the strangling man saying, "Kid, let me go. My dad is the lord of the city." As he is trembling, the main character just puts his hand over the man's mouth, saying, "So what?" We see the man now with bloodshot eyes and foam trickling down his mouth saying, "My father is coming soon. You won't escape. And when he gets here, you will be begging for death." The main character shows a grunted face on the outside, but inside, he is blooming with happiness, thinking, "Isn't that really nice?" We see him thinking to himself, "Originally, I thought to step in, kill this lunatic, and get killed by the bodyguards. But if the Lord himself kills me instead, wouldn't it be better? The death rating would be even higher." As we see a magical pendant-shaped object on which immortality was written, with a chain binding it, come towards him with a system announcement saying, "Heroic action estimated death rating is C." The main character, shocked, thinks to himself, "This is the first time a death rating notification has appeared. So the system agrees with me too." We see him smiling as his face lights up. We observe the bodyguards leaving the couple and coming towards the main character as they yell, "Young master!" We see the couple thanking the main character for helping them, but this man is too powerful. "We don't want to get you in trouble. Please leave now," they ask the main character. The main character nonchalantly just pulls out his handbag and starts to slap the arrogant guy one after another. As we see the naked bodyguards all losing their minds over this, screaming "Young master." We see even the girl is distressed by what has happened. We see the main character, still strangling him, say to the foreheads, "Don't you move, or I'll kill him." We see the badly beaten, arrogant young master now begging for his life. "Please spare me. This whole city belongs to my father. Whatever you want, I'll give you. Please don't kill me." The main character just changes his eyes towards the arrogant guy's direction as we see the anger in the main character's eyes hitting the man even harder, saying, "Don't surrender. Get your dad over here." As we see the noise of rumbling horses, we observe that the head of the city lord, has arrived on horseback. The main character looks towards him as the beaten-up guy says, "Dad." We see a strong-looking man on horseback looking towards the main character. The main character thinks to himself, "Yes, he indeed looks strong." We see the man, with a lot of force, saying, "Shut up." His voice was enough to make the main character realize that this man has clearly mastered martial arts. He can release such power with just a single shout. As we see the grunt look in the man's eyes, he thinks about how the main character has a weak aura and he's just a beginner martial artist. But for him to be able to lift a person easily, his arm strength is quite impressive. We see all the bulky men conjuring that guy as he lands on the ground and moves towards them, all kneeling. The main character's eyes roll a bit as we see the full frame of how powerful the man's steps indeed are. The main character just thinks to himself, "I feel like there's tons of weight on me. How painful." The main character, a bit distressed by this, starts to choke the man's son even harder and asks him to stop. We see the man dissipating his aura, continuing to walk up as the man thinks to himself, "He can still speak under such pressure? Usually, people can't even talk when overwhelmed by an aura like this. He is pretty daring." We see him instantly get into a friendly old man stance, saying, "My young friend, don't be rash. Let's talk this through. My son has indeed gone too far, but please let him go. I'll be more harsh on him in the future." We see the disappointed face of the main character, who thinks to himself, "Hey, I literally made an annoying expression. Why are you apologizing? Shouldn't you be threatening me? How am I supposed to get you to kill me like this?" As the main character observes once again the system screen, seeing the estimated death rating, he thinks to himself, "The rating hasn't decreased, which means I still have a chance." We see the main character saying, "Your son is abducting people randomly on the streets. Do you think no one apology would be enough to fix that?" As we see the bowing gesture of the man and the two couples who are observing, the man says, "The two are disciples of the lunar faction. Your founder and I go back a long time. I will go and offer 200 deals of sterling silver another day. So could the two forgive my disgraceful son's behavior?" We see both of them thinking to themselves, "He identified us, so is that a threat? But on the other hand, this entire Yang city is under his control. We really can't do anything to him." We see both of them bowing down, saying, "My lord, you have been too kind. We just arrived in this city and may have made our own share of mistakes." As we see other people talking about this, he asks, "What about the people your son has harmed?" He sighs, "This isn't the first time. Best to stay away from trouble." We see the main character taking the name of the man, shouting towards him. As the man, now getting a bit angry, says, "Do you really think that as long as you pay some money and apologize, things will just work out? You seem to be quite familiar with this tactic. I bet your son often creates messes, and you use this tactic to clean it up." We see him saying, "But your son makes his cards with the people, and this is not his first time abducting someone publicly. What about the people he killed and injured? How would you pay for that?" As we see injured people on the ground and the guy's son, who is almost strangled by the main character, he thinks, "We must pay with his life," he says. We see the scary look of the man saying, "This kid won't listen. What a difficult case." As the man tries one last resolve, saying, "How about you tell me what must I do for you to release my son?" The main character, with a nonchalant face, thinks to himself something and says, "Release him? It's simple, only when I die," he says with a menacing face. We observe the main character in his posture, strangling the man as the people there on the ground say, "He's just a passerby," yet he is willing to stand up for justice and sacrifice his life. We see the man sighing, thinking to himself, "It seems like there is no more room for discussion," as we see an old man instantly teleporting behind the main character with his loomy black technique. As the main character looks over his shoulder, we see the ropes already flying towards him, as the man's kid is on the ground finally getting a breath. The main character is bound in ropes, both hands behind his back, as he grunts in pain and goes to his knees. We observe the old man doing all of this. We see that even if from the outside the main character looks in pain, from the inside he is as happy as he can get, thinking to himself, Let's go. My first high-rated death, here I come." We see the city lord now mounting. The main character is standing over him, saying to him, "Kid, what is your name?" The main character introduces himself and, with a grin on his face, tells him that he has no one to back him up, so the man can kill him without any worries. Inside, he's thinking, "Go for it. What are you waiting for?" We see the man's eyes seeing, "You are quite the daring one indeed." As the man instructs for the main character to be released, the old man who has caught him is even in shock. We observe the man saying, "You are very brave and clever, not an ordinary man. If you want to join my army and serve your country, report to my estate anytime." We see the main character grin, as his script has been torn up. "What's wrong with the script?" he thinks to himself. As we see the man leaving, his son is calling, "Dad!" and the bulky man is supporting him. The main character, just with an undead description in the background, observes as the kid gets hit in the face as soon as he gets free. His father says, "Shut up. I didn't restrain you enough before the guards brought him back." As we see the young master on the ground again, we observe the leash of the horse in the hand of someone. The city lord says to the main character, "If you are interested, you are welcome to find me at my estate anytime." We observe the main character now stunned, thinking to himself, "What has happened? How did it go wrong?" Everyone in the background is saying, "The young master is a spoiled brat, but at least the Lord has some sense. The Lord is quite forgiving. That warrior is also lucky to be recognized by him. If he joins the Lord's army, he'll be set for life." We see the main character, inside crying like a hamster, thinking to himself, "We've been messing around for so long. The atmosphere was perfect. I even had my final words ready. So why am I still alive? The two of them are evil indeed. They didn't kill me." Even making this a recap, I am laughing. Let's take back this story. You see the main character losing his estimated rating of C. After observing some more, we see the immortality lock is still lit. That means the death rating is still increasing. My death rating didn't reset even after the Lord left. Does that mean if I die now, can I still get a relatively high rating? But why would it be like this? Am I any different from who I was before? As we see all the passersby smiling and clapping for the main character, even the two disciples from the set, the main character finally observes it and realizes that if he dies now, he will die as the hero who stopped the Lord's spoiled son and not as some random nobody. So this is the correct way of using this system. As long as I keep making a name for myself, I'll gain more fame and recognition. And when I die, I'll become a lot stronger. If I fail to die while challenging someone, my death rating will only increase. No matter the outcome, whether I die or survive, I will be winning either way. And when I finally die, it will be a high-quality epic death. As we see him dreaming and salivating, we observe that at the home of the lord of the city, the young master is getting his cheeks treated. We see him sobbing towards his father, saying, "Why did you recruit that guy instead of teaching him a lesson?" We see the man saying, "Why be so impatient? Stop worrying about him." When he was caught, the expression of my people showed that my disobedient son accumulated quite some heat in the city. If I killed him in front of them, my image as a benevolent lord would never have stayed and would have instantly crumbled. It's a much better move to recruit that kid, which claims the people and gains their approval. We see the man saying to his son, "You disobedient son, you deserved that a long time ago, or you'll get into big trouble sooner or later. For the next month, do not dare step foot out of the estate." The guy asked, "Why?" "Around that time, His Highness may visit the city himself. Keeping you here is to prevent you from getting yourself killed." "The Crimson Emperor? How trustable are your sources?" he asked. "How could the Emperor inform your father about his trip? Who knows what kind of assassins it might attract? But that guy, would he accept your invitation to join the city army? Whether he joins or not, I have ways of dealing with him," the Lord replied. "If he joins, I'll make things much easier. Aren't there plenty of thieves up on the E-Mountain? I'll just send him there." Thanks for watching the video. If you liked the video, consider subscribing and commenting down if you want a part 2 on this manhwa. Thank you for watching.